Hello, how are we doing? Personally, I've had a pretty good day. Today's been pretty good. I hope it has been for you too. And we are coming back with another video. And this one is going to be more,
Economical.
it's going to be more economical. And I think that it might be interesting, it might be difficult somewhat to follow along with. Again, I'll have visuals. I'll try and make sure to put them in as consistently and as numerously as possible as I tried to do in the last one, because more difficult subjects require more stuff in order to be able to comprehend it. That's what I think. And just hearing someone say it to you is probably not the best way to do it, because not everyone's an audio learner. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this. And the subject is going to be about income tax. So let's get into it. Wait, nope, we can't go to that yet. One more thing to say, a disclaimer. Everything that I say in this video is just my thoughts and speculation from what I've observed and from what my logic has brought me to. This could be completely wrong. I'm not trying to state fact. I do not believe this is absolutely certain. So I could definitely be wrong here, and many people would in fact say I am wrong or something of the like. But anyways, let's actually get into the video. I'll stop wasting your time. Okay, so what is the actual topic? Well, I said it's income tax, but I didn't specifically give a topic. And that topic, however, about income tax is there's a debate, not really a debate, but really a lot of people who seem to think that it would be better if we just abolished it. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it, okay? That's what they seem to think. And from what I've concluded, this would, if we just abolished it overnight, which is what most of these people seem to be advocating for, then that would be disastrous for the US economy. Now, really quickly, again, something I should make very clear, because I know if I don't make this clear, someone might think that I'm just against income tax just being at a non-existent level, like 0%. No, that's not what I'm saying. There's a state like Wyoming with no income tax or any tax similar to it, and they're doing fine. But what I'm arguing is that the change that would result in abolishing income tax right now would probably put the US into a recession. And now why? Well, I actually made a graphic a while ago, and I will be putting it up right now on screen. The one part of it is the graph, one part of it is the timeline, and then the other part is a division of how different groups of people would respond to this. Now, the first part, which I'm showing, is the graph, and there's a lot of arrows, percents, weird dots in the lines, and so I'll explain what this is. So, this is a graph with the x-axis showing time worked and the y-axis showing income. As you work more, you make more money. So that should be a no duh, but that's how the normal scenario is. The green bar is how it normally works. The black dot is, let's just assume that you're at the black dot there. Now, if you were to go and abolish income tax, if you're to get rid of it, all of a sudden, with the same amount of time worked, you now make a certain more amount of money that would have been taken from you in income taxes. And now, how would people respond to this? Because we all know that leisure is worth more, or leisure, just not working and enjoying yourself, is more preferable, and people will, in most cases, or in many cases I should say, because there's a case is actually against this. And these people This is, I would assume, 75% of Americans, because that is about the amount in polling averages which say they are content with their standard of living. If you are content with your standard of living, you would probably soon, or not otherwise instantaneously, begin to work less hours, because if you can do, let's look at this graph here. You can either choose to work the same amount of time and make a lot more money, work less time and make the same amount of money, or somewhere in between where you work less time and make more money. To me, that option of working less and making more, but though to a lesser degree of each, is much more appealing than the other two options, because it feels like you're getting both of them. And so, what would this mean? Well, it would mean that a huge portion of the workforce would now be working either slightly less or a lot less. And if you didn't know, that significantly harms businesses, because remember, businesses kind of rely on having stable hour schedules, and some people may tell you, oh, but usually these people can't just shift around their hours like that. Well, they can afford to do so. Like, sure, they may get fired, but if like 75% of your workforce is doing that, I really doubt that's going to happen. I just don't see that at all happening. And so I think that it would result in a wage cut, and what that would mean is that most of these people would, or 99% of them would almost instantaneously go back to working the correct amount of time that they would have before, and they would make the same amount of money as they did before, just without the pay that was converted into income tax for the government. That should be pretty basic. And now you might be wondering, well, you said 75% of people who are content. What about the other 25%? What would happen to them? Well, I think that either they would continue to work at the same amount, or they would work even slightly more to a certain point, I would say. They would work more to a certain point. And I think that this group, just because they work more, it would not be able to balance out with the wage decreases in a 75% in the 75% of the workforce. And again, you might be wondering, well, why would they work more if they're already making a lot more money? Well, the thing is, think about it like this. If you got, like, say, $500 and you're trying to get $600 for something, and you have a job, if as soon as you get $500, you're going to be really motivated to make that last $100. You're going to go to your job, probably work more hours to do so. And so if you got that boost from income tax, you would likely see some people temporarily do that. Now, of course, a lot of these people might, I would say at the very, very beginning of this, maybe it'd be about 35 or 40% of people who work slightly more, but as soon as they've gotten their instant needs fulfilled, it would decrease to around 25% who actually want to really better their standard of living, while the people who are just there temporarily might have a certain want of some kind, and they know that they can get there really quickly by just working a few more hours. And so what I think would happen is, once the wages are adjusted, once all of these wages are adjusted, you would see them all of a sudden just get paid more for working more, or if they just chose to work the same amount, then they'd go back to making this old amount that they made. And so, how would this result? Well, I think that 75% of the 25%, this is a little confusing because we're talking about 2% here. 75% of those people would choose to stay somewhere above where they were originally working. They would choose to continue to work more than they originally were. Maybe because this has just still been a motivation booster for them. And I think that most of them would just choose to do that, because I think just such a major event would have an impact like that. And then the other 25% of them, I think that this group would not see the benefit in working so much for not as much pay or additional pay as they were hoping for. And as a result of that, they go back to working the same amount. Now, you could definitely make a strong argument to say that the people here would not stay here, but I think certainly a great portion of them would. And I think that 75% of the 25% makes relative sense to me, because it just seems to me, or not just seems to me, I think that it would be objective to say that these people, if they are that motivated instantly to work more, because here's what I should really quick clarify. I think that 25% up there, which you'd think is the yellow bar, that would be split among 25% of that group who are here and the rest of the 75% who are there. And I think that if they're working that more just because they believe they can quickly achieve a goal, I think that they would likely stay up there even if they get a wage cut, because if they have been able to benefit their standard of living even before that wage cut and the little time before that, I think that they would have already decided on them working more just because of the rewards it brings. Now, with one other thing that we have to consider in this argument here is the minimum wage, because obviously not all businesses could just do a wage cut. And so that begs the question, what happens? What happens if the business can't cut wages and instead it just has to deal with these people working a lot less? Well, that tension would be released in some other way that would not fare well for the economy at all. A lot of businesses may simply just fail because they cannot cope with the huge productivity loss that they would experience. Many companies would likely have to cut costs in another way in order to keep themselves running. It would not be good at all. It would be terrible for the economy, and the insane shutdown in economic activity that may happen would likely cause a recession, in my opinion, just due to the sheer scale of it. I mean, 75% of the workforce in the US, if you have 75% of the workforce in the US who just are working, even with a conservative estimate, just only maybe a few hours less, that insane shift over all of those workers is going to be quite detrimental. It'd be like to them about having half of your workforce, give or take 10%, or maybe less than that, I'd say. It would be like having half of their workforce just completely give up, in a way. I'm saying 50%, not 75%, because remember, there's the 25% that would balance it out. And now, one other thing to consider is that we have to remember that it is likely that you're not going to be seeing these same circumstances everywhere. And so what that means is that people or places that usually require more hours of labor, places that require the most physical labor, would do the worst off for them, because the more intense the labor is, the more favorably leisure is compared to it. And so I would say that businesses with more intense labor would definitely fare the costs a lot more than a business with really, really easy labor. I think work from home would be a really good way to judge that, because, I mean, it's not that difficult if you can just work from home, and I think that should be kind of another duh, but it moves along the point. So, yeah, that's pretty much the point here. If you see people online talking about abolishing the income tax, just know that if we were to do that, it would probably destroy us, like, terribly. But yeah, that's really just what I wanted to say for this. And again, after quite a while, again, some hours after what you've just heard, it is me again with the basic conclusion statement of this video. This was nice to make, and I did like, again, how it turned out. I did like that it was slightly longer than my original, or not original, whatever, my last video. And I do really like this subject because it's something that I feel like I put more effort into. With other things like this, I've not really given it too much thought. Like, I haven't really sat down and really, like, tried to comprehend it. This is something that I actually have done, though. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm hopefully going to be able to continue uploading like this, where I upload pretty consistently every few days, hopefully. And I mean, I do have school, obviously, because I mean, I'm in 8th grade, and most of the people who are watching this right now, and if you've even gotten to this point, thank you. I'll say that. If you've gotten to this point and you don't actually know me in real life, then know that, you know, I have the school, like, I have other things going on right now, but I do really enjoy making this. And of course, there's also something about it, like, wanting to just do it because otherwise, like, you know, feels like you failed. But this is something enjoyable to do, and of course I probably won't always feel like that, and just know that if I ever do say something like that, just know that hopefully that too won't be permanent. But anyways, I'm kind of getting off topic here. This was good. This was good. The income tax stuff, I said, I think it was all pretty decent. I cut out some parts. If you did actually hear the parts, or hear where I cut it out, because there are some slight differences between the audios that I merged together, that I had to cut the parts in between of them. And good for you if you can tell where those are. But yeah, I'm glad that I was able to add a lot of imagery. It was mainly that graph, the timeline, and that breakdown of the people, how the workforce would react to this. But yeah, I've had that lying around, and I just decided it'd be nice to make a video like that. If you haven't noticed yet, a lot of these videos have been making fun of libertarians, and this is no different. But yeah, I'm pretty much out here. Peace.